Today on Crawl, Walk, Strum, I'm going to show you the diatonic chords that you already know. Let's strum.
You were starting to crawl, and then you wanted to walk, and then you wanted to rock, so you picked up your guitar, and then you started to strum. Crawl, walk, strum.
Hey friendly strummers, I'm MAXXFIELD. If this is your first time here, don't forget to stage dive the subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Crawl, Walk, Strum is a guitar learning method that I've developed over the past 20 years with hundreds of my students to take you from the first strum to the big show. Today we're going to be talking about chords, specifically diatonic chords. But before we talk about diatonic chords, let's do a quick review about the chords we've learned so far. A chord is simply when you play more than one note at the same time. So here's a note. Here's two notes, play them together, you got a chord. There's chords that have more than two notes, but what makes a chord is just that it has more than one note. We then learned that there's a lot of different kinds of chords. There's major chords, minor chords, diminished chords, all sorts of major seventh and dominant seven and minor seven. But by far and large, the two most important chords that are going to make up most of the music you've ever heard is just major chords and minor chords. Now, we also learned that there's 12 notes in the musical alphabet. And because of this, that means there will be 12 versions of every one of these chords. So there will be a C major, C sharp major, D major. You get the picture. Every single note that there is can be the starting point and foundation for a major chord or a minor chord. So we've got 12 chords then, and each one can be major or minor, so that means you gotta learn 24 chords to know them all. But what if I told you you really only need 6 or 7 of those chords, not all 24? You'd probably think I was crazy or endorsing shortcuts, but let me explain further. We learned that the G major scale has 7 different notes in it. Each one of those 7 notes becomes a chord. So that G major scale went G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. I put the link in the description if you missed that episode. A major scale, it sounds like it would only have major chords in it, but it's actually more of a family, and this family is diverse and it has major chords and minor chords, and it even has one diminished chord. Diminished is another type of chord that we haven't learned any of them yet, but we will today. You'll see on the screen that I've put up all the diatonic chords in the key of G. Some of them are major, some of them are minor. We get a G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and then we get G again. The first step would be just to go through each of these chords on your own and just try to get the transitions right. You might be used to all these chords, but you might not have ever gone from G to A minor. Who knows? Everyone's different. Now let's play along with the backing track. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our G major scale in diatonic chords. But as you know, there's 12 keys. So what about the other 11 keys? Well, there's a really cool trick on the guitar, and it's called a capo. The capo is a really cool piece of technology that's going to allow us to make the neck of our guitar shorter. The capo basically takes the nut of your guitar and moves it up. So we learned how to play the G major diatonic chords. Now if we use the capo, we can get other keys. If I put the capo on fret number 1, every chord will move over one semitone. So now it seems like I'm playing G. It feels the same way. I'm using the same finger. I'm kind of pretending that this is now 0, so now we're on fret 1, 2, 3. So everything about it's the same, it's just moved over a little bit. Now instead of getting a G major, I get a G sharp major. Instead of getting an A minor, I get an A sharp minor. So you can see how the whole scale will work with the capo in every single key, and that's the reason why you really only need to learn these 6 or 7 chords, and then you can play almost any song ever made. Now the capo is a bit of a confusing thing when you first learn about it, and you definitely need to purchase one, and they cost about $10 or $15. But I will be doing another episode really soon all about the capo, so stay tuned for that. Today we learned about diatonic chords. We learned that it's 7 specific chords. Each one of them is related directly back to one of the 7 notes of the major scale that it's derived from. So we talked about the G major scale having 7 notes, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. But now each one of those notes gets a chord. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp, diminished, and G major. The main thing right now is just to get really used to playing through each of these chords, switching between each of them, and getting comfortable playing through that exercise with the metronome that I provided. If you got value out of this lesson, don't forget to pick slide the like, stage dive the subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Until next time,
Walk strong.